was a banner year for City of Grandview.
There's just so much going on in the city. It's fantastic.
We have the largest population growth in 1 year.
Oh man, I'm just so excited about that.
Largest growth in market value of our town.
It's going to open up land for future development.
City's expenditure budget's growing.
And that's the City of Grandview. We're going 100 miles an hour with our hair on fire.
Watch out. Grandview's coming in hot to 2022. The city doubled its staying power when the new $5 million Comfort Inn and Suites Hotel opened along the I-49 West Outer Road. Nearly $5 million of new office space and 2 new warehouse facilities are now open in South Point Business Park. What started out with a lone federal government facility in 2015 is now just 1 lot shy of being completely built out.
Currently, we have 7 new businesses that moved their headquarters there. Our understanding about that final lot is about to be sold.
Also in the industrial district, major business expansions include an all-new nearly $4 million headquarters for Pods and a nearly 35,000 square foot expansion at Pack Leader USA.
As far as construction and the building going on in the city, it never really slowed down. We've had so many new businesses come in that it's just amazing.
We did notice an increase in the variety types of businesses that are coming into Grandview.
Along I-49, 2 long-empty former big box stores are now thriving new businesses. A $3 million renovation transformed the old Sam's Club into Blue Sky Storage. A little further south on I-49, at the old Kmart Red X, Pyramid Roofing has transformed the building into its new offices and headquarters.
The old Sam's Club and the Kmart, they're filled. They're done. I mean, and they're beautiful too. So basically, those 2 things are something that we should all be proud of.
We can all be proud of the Grandview C4 School District. In 2021, the district began $45 million worth of improvements that will touch every school in the district.
I'm so excited about those projects. Finishing out the high school stadium, some additional things inside of our buildings and on the exteriors, as well as playgrounds. Just so many wonderful things that, again, are going to show our students and our staff, again, how much they are valued by our community.
Housing is also going up. Since 2017, the city has added more than 450 housing units.
We have several subdivisions that still are seeing active new single-family homes built.
All of this building is also building up the city's market value to the highest levels in city history.
City's market value grew from $1.1 billion to over $1.6 billion. This is predominantly due to new growth in our new buildings, new businesses, new headquarters.
When you think about a city of the size of Grandview, 26,000 people, 15 square miles, the fact that we're still doing consistently over $40 million a year is pretty incredible.
If you build it, they will come. The 2020 census shows thousands more people are calling Grandview home sweet home. The city saw a population growth of 5.4% in just 1 year, and that's the same pace business licenses grew in 2021.
While all this growth is happening, cities that per capita remain one of the lowest, if not the lowest, in the metropolitan area.
In fact, the city's general fund reserves, which is its rainy day funds, actually increased during this pandemic period. And this allowed us to actually maintain our current bond rating and have a stable outlook for the next 2 years.
The city's commitment to savings and long-term financial sustainability has remained concrete in the face of the pandemic.
So that the future looks bright for the city of Grandview. You know, we are wholeheartedly dedicated to making sure that the city is financially stable, not only for today, but for 2 years down the road, 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road.
Speaking of down the road, in 2021, the shovels came out for the I-49 Outer Roads conversion to 2-way traffic. This $15 million economic development project has been years in the making and got the green light once the city had the green, including nearly $12 million in federal and state grants.
I-49 carries a tremendous amount of traffic that would be appealing to a lot of retailers and restaurants, but for many, they do not locate along one-way roads because it limits at least 50% of their access.
In a city divided by an interstate, the conversion will provide safe access to pedestrians with miles of new sidewalk, but also improved access for drivers.
Throughout the country, frontage roads are typically two-way traffic. So again, the driver expectation, particularly as we try to attract shoppers, visitors from outside our region, is the two-way frontage roads.
The two-way traffic is expected to renew the I-49 corridor and is already drawing interest from businesses wanting to leverage Grandview's strategic location to the Kansas City metropolitan area.
Right now, we do have people calling in. Up and down the access road affords the city of Grandview a whole lot of opportunities for retail, mixed use.
It will be a much better location choice for businesses that counted us out completely.
A vision for another renewed corridor is taking shape on Blue Ridge Boulevard. In the works is a new Kansas City Southern Railroad bridge and Blue Ridge Boulevard improvements.
With 4 lanes of traffic, a sidewalk on the north side, and a 10-foot multi-use path on the south side, this bridge needs to be completely reconstructed in order to provide those accommodations.
With an $8 million grant from the Federal Railroad Administration and a private contribution from Kansas City Southern Rail Lines, the city's portion of this project is included as part of a $21 million bond package up for vote on April 5th.
The funding for the city's portion is essential in order for this improvement to take place.
Over $12 million of the bond package would be dedicated to city streets and sidewalks. Other proposed citywide projects include renovations of a newly acquired building into a DMV annex and necessary safety improvements to a list of city buildings nearing 50 years old, including fire stations, Grandview Municipal Services Building, and the police department.
The police department's a little bit different than an average business in the fact that we work here 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. So that's 168 hours a week that we're operating inside the facilities. We're busting at the seams. We need more space or more efficient use of the space, both for our property room and new personnel.
3815 Main, white female, red hair.
Even with cramped quarters, Grandview Police Department is getting the job done. In 2021, the Grandview crime rate dropped a stunning 16%.
So this year we're showing a 16% reduction, which would have been actually lower than we were 2 years ago. So I'm very happy with that. I do think it's a combination of both our officers working hard to prevent crime, because it's one thing just to respond to a call, but for us to actually prevent crime before it happens is great. And I also give credit to the community. When they see things that are suspicious or they look out for their neighbors and they call us when they see things like that, it makes a difference. And I think it's a combined effort between our officers and the community.
Grandview Fire Department also answered the call and answered it faster thanks to a new third ambulance placed into service at the height of the pandemic.
So our service calls during the height of the pandemic, they were high. We're there in 4 or 5 minutes, and that's a huge response difference.
Grandview Fire Department took the lead during the public health emergency, working with Jackson County Health Department and Samuel U. Rogers Health Center, scheduling 25 vaccine clinics all around the city, including one of the metro area's first mass vaccination clinics at Grandview High School.
You know, it was a cold, miserable day, but we had volunteers showing up. We had people calling, hey, can I help? School was great, provide their facility. Police department, they had their hands full of traffic. We didn't know what to expect.
The Army was there, the Air Force was there, AmeriCorps. The turnout was fantastic.
But people had to wait in their cars. It was cold. After they got their shot, they had to wait. But people were thanking us, and it was amazing the outpour from the citizens about what a great thing. Thank you for doing this.
We gave about 1,800 shots.
So you're out there in 40-degree weather. It's rain. It's cold. But when people say thank you, then you forget all that.
And then a month later, they all came back.
With people looking for safer options to get out of the house, record numbers of visitors took advantage of Grandview's beautiful parks and trails.
Our parks are most used now than they ever have been. We know that through our eco counters, and we know that the parks are getting utilized 4 times more than they were 2 years ago.
Connecting Grandview parks to other priority destinations are all goals of the city's first ever pedestrian and bicycle plan.
The public was wanting to see more connections around the community, places like Truman's Marketplace, to our city parks, our community center, City Hall, and various neighborhoods.
Local, regional, and national organizations are noticing the great work done in Grandview. The city won gold status as a community for all ages, and it also won a Triple Crown.
Now that's just not in horse racing or baseball. The annual comprehensive financial report or our audit, the budget document, and our popular annual financial report all met the high standards of GFOA's award program.
St. Joe and Research Hospital has recognized 4 of our paramedics twice in this last year for life saving.
One department's award made local headlines and a magazine cover. Grandview Police Department's Move Toward the Badge program requires every officer to build positive relationships in the community. For holding field days at elementary schools, to distributing food at senior housing complexes, the International City Managers Association awarded the Grandview Police Department its Community Partnership Award.
So that was a nice honor for us. I was really pleased with our folks. They were still able to do it, whether it was at church functions with food drives or with the youth in the community. And seeing those kids as they interact with our officers and the smiles on their faces really made you feel good and gave you a good sense of what the future might be.
Creating connections with our community and representing our community is what the City of Grandview is all about.
Our police department now is more diverse than it's ever been, and I think it's more representative of the community that we serve.
So good to finally get back out in the public. And then we got to touch the trucks. We got to get the kids finally out and get up in the fire trucks and the ambulances. And
All right, those kids just love riding in the fire truck. We picked them up at their house before school. We drove them around the city for about 20 or 30 minutes, and then we dropped them off at the school. To all their classmates who were just waiting on them. They were just so excited.
The key to the city of Grandview is continue pushing.
But we got to continue shoveling coal into the engine. We have to remain competitive.
We're not going to stop. We're going to continue being aggressive, going after what we think is the best for the community.